Ninjago's 9th season, or Hunted, came with a fantastic range of LEGO sets to go along with it. I'm very glad that I got to pick basically all of them up because it was genuinely a fantastic lineup to actually have. But with a fantastic array of sets will also come a fantastic array of minifigures, and the Ninja definitely are that if you do look at it from a certain perspective, because the Hunted suits, when it does come to the Ninja, are really interesting in a lot of ways, but really good and really bad depending on what you actually want. So that is going to be what we look at today. Of course, take a look at all of the Ninja suits that actually did come with Hunted and determine whether or not they're actually good to pick up if you are looking for something new for your Ninjago collection. And here they all are. Now, looking at them as a giant bundle together, they really do look fantastic. They are all unique, all individually styled, and all have their own unique flair, while also all having their own things to cross over with each other. The main thing being the masks. The main change when it does come to the mask this time round is that instead of just being the Ninja's color through and through, all of them have the underside of it actually being black. I guess apart from Cole, because it was always black for him, but that's kind of beside the point. But that is the only thing that necessarily does overlap with all of them. All of them just have their own way of standing out, and like I said, all of them just have this amazing looking printing and detailing. The big thing about this season is the fact that these are the season 8 outfits, but essentially damaged, and some of them have basically just had some equipment and armor put over them as a way to basically defend themselves. It all comes into account when it does come to the story, and they all have their own unique flair. So let's actually look at them one by one. To start off with Kai, I really do like what this minifigure does actually come to offer. Like I said, it's just the damaged version of the Season 8 suit, and I like the unique feel that does come with it. This version of Kai only has one sleeve, for example, which I always do think is a really nice detail to actually add on, but with the addition of the chainmail and the padding, I really do think this makes for something special. He unintentionally does link up with Skylar in terms of the design because of the chainmail, and I really do like that detail. But honestly, Kai is just a massive standout when it does come to this outfit. I do think he just has this really hardened feel. It feels like he's adapted to the land of the Oni and the Dragon. I like how it does truly feel like it's an adapted version that you just wouldn't really expect from any other ninja suits. I just think it kind of works in that way. One thing I'll note for all these minifigures is the fact that they don't really come with weapons that I want to display them with. In the sets, they come with some version of weapons, and some of them just come with the Season 8 weapons. And whilst that is fine, I just don't really think it suits these minifigures. The thing is that in the show, the Ninja do temporarily use some makeshift weapons, but we don't really have them represented in the sets themselves. So I just represent them on their own. I think they just look fine with nothing. I think it just kind of works and honestly fits the suits themselves, because it looks like they're just working with what they got, and I just don't really think a sword kind of matches that aesthetic, but Kai just doesn't really need it. Because it is just a fantastic looking version of Kai. I really like what this version of him has to offer, and I think it all just simply works. Like I said, the detail is fantastic, and the one big thing for me is that the colors all work with each other as well. Nothing's used incorrectly, everything's just used finely, and I just think it works for that exact reason, and honestly, it's a very good representation of what a damaged version of the Season 8 one looks like. So that's Kai, I really like him. Next up. That next up is actually going to be Jay, and the biggest standout for me is the fact that whilst the detail and printing is absolutely amazing, he of course does come with the ZX shoulder pads. He is reutilizing the black ones for this instance, and it really does work for this minifigure, because just generally speaking, this version of Jay is damaged, and you can see that reflected, but the main thing is that there's just a lot more black on this outfit, which honestly is a massive plus, because I like the color combination. We say about unique flair when it does come to these minifigures, and this in my opinion is the absolute antithesis of it. It's definitely a departure from the Season 8 outfit, which I absolutely love, but honestly in all of the right ways. This version of him just looks fantastic, and definitely is one of the better ones when it does come to the Hunted minifigures. And also, whilst it's not really relevant to the video, I really like how this version of him looks in show as well. I just think generally speaking this is a really good combination of showing off the damage that actually did occur to the outfits between the realm hop, but also making it so it looks like there's actually some makeshift improvements on it. I just think it definitely did take what the concept was and most definitely did run with it. Honestly, I really like this version of Jay, and it's one that I actually commonly do come back to. So this is just another one that I think is just a fantastic addition, and I really do think this is one of the better ones when it does come to the Hunted line. Honestly, Oni Trilogy J just did extremely well for what he had going for him. Honestly, I'm very shocked because there are a lot of different suit lines where he's definitely down there when it does come to my favourites to least favourites. So it's just nice that he gets this love, and I definitely am happy that he is getting it. So this one's really cool, on to the next. and that is actually going to be Zane. And I will say before anything, I have removed the quiver from this minifigure because I just don't display him with the bow. But I really do like this version of Zane. I really like the damage and the detailing that does come along with it. The thing about the damage on Zane is that I have a personal little headcanon when it does come to it. The main thing are these big pieces of rope or some sort of belting that's going across his torso, and underneath you can see the damage done to his arm and also just the torso in general. I really like this design, but the thing for me is that I've always thought that this damage and repair that he's done is basically to keep that arm in place. It's a titanium arm, so in similar vein to Kai, he is basically sleeveless here, and I like to think that without those repairs that he's made, his arm would basically just fall off. And I just think that works. In addition with all the nice colouring, and I like the extra bits of black that do come along with this suit, I just think it makes for a fantastic looking Zane. This one truly does feel like he's been through it. I like the fact that you can visibly see what's happened and see the repairs that he has made to himself. Whilst a lot of the ninja suits just simply look like they've padded things over themselves, this one truly feels like that there's a reason for it to actually exist, and that's why I really like it. So again, I just simply can't help but love this minifigure. I just think there's just so much good going for it, and I just have nothing but good things to actually say about it. Honestly, I just think this version of Zane is just a very fun one conceptually, and I really don't mind that because of it. So this one also does get the stamp of approval. On to the next. And that will be Cole, and this one does have the very interesting difference from the rest of the ninja being it's the damaged version of the season 8 outfit, but with no different modifications actually made to it. This one is just meant to be him basically just wearing a destroyed suit. And I actually really do like that for contrast. Initially speaking, I wasn't a big fan of it because it would have been cool to have actually seen what a version of Cole with all the different makeshift armor would have been looking like. But this one honestly does tell a different story to an extent. You could look at it almost as a way of Cole giving the other ninja the chance to protect themselves, and he's basically just making that sacrifice play. I really do like that, and it's again another headcanon, but I do think it kind of works. But I just like all the damage done. You can tell that they've been through it, and I like all of the markings and all the scratches that do come along with it. This version of Cole just looks ready for a fight. I think that's just the best way of putting it. He looks mean, he looks rough, and I definitely do think that is exactly what you want when it does come to these suits. So again, it's just another fantastic addition and just does round off the 4 in of themselves. Of course, they spend a majority of the season with each other, so it definitely does make sense to think that they all just look fantastic with each other. So again, another very good stamp of approval. The next one to look at here is actually Lloyd, and again, I've actually made a modification when it does come to the Lloyd minifigure as a say to make it more accurate, and that is to actually give him the appropriate shoulder piece because in no set he actually does come with it, but this is the show accurate version. But again, I really do like the look of this minifigure. This has always been the standout in my opinion when it does come to the hunted outfits. It is a massive departure from the actual Season 8 outfit in of itself, to the point where you could probably make the argument that it's not even the same suit, but it is actually the same belt. But I do really like the look of this Lloyd. It takes on a lot more dark green, and along with the Woo Crew logo, it just looks absolutely fantastic. This is one of the few, in my opinion, that stands out above, because to an extent you could see it as a ninja suit beyond the point of hunted. He just looks like he's a part of a resistance, and of course, he is, but the thing is that all of these outfits are meant to tell a story. They're meant to portray a story when it does come to the show, and I definitely do think this one does accomplish it. He looks rugged, he looks armored, he looks like he's on the losing side, which is the truth, and I really do like the fact that the minifigure accomplishes exactly what it needs to do. It just has a really good look to it and a really good feel to it, and I just can't help but love it because of it. As a minifigure, it just simply works, and I can't help but acknowledge that when it does come to this outfit. Honestly, this one has possibly been my favourite hunted suit since the very beginning, and I don't think my plan is going to be to change that anytime soon. So yeah, Lloyd is definitely the biggest one when it does come to me here. Which makes the last one actually Nia, and there's a reason I've left her until the end. The thing is that this version of her, whilst really cool conceptually, feels the least like the ninja suit to me. In a really weird sense, but I'm hoping you're going to follow along with me. Now I do like this outfit and I do think it's really cool, but it has a similar effect that I've noticed when it comes to the DX Ninja outfits, which is it's just one big flat print. There's no creases, there's no texturing, there's no layering to it, it's just one big flat looking outfit. And whilst that's not bad and I like the detailing that does come along with it, it just is kind of distracting to me. It feels like there's just not a lot going on to the outfit and just looks kind of simple, especially when next to a character like Lloyd. Which is a massive shame because this has been a very consistent line to me. Honestly, this line has been very good in a lot of ways, and all of the detail and design has been fantastic with all the other ninja. It just feels like this one just kind of got the short end of a stick in a weird way. But it's not like it's completely bad, because I like some of the details that we do get. I like the use of zips, weirdly. I would like to know how that functionally works. I would like to know, are those pockets in a way? I'm not entirely certain, but I just like the general aesthetic in that sense. Just the fact that it just looks like a big flat piece is kind of distracting me. But it's still just a fantastic looking version of her, and I definitely do think it rounds off the minifigures quite nicely. It's the one that has a complaint that I did feel like I needed to mention, which, like I said, is just a massive shame, but unfortunately, it is just simply the case. So, whilst it's cool, and whilst I do like Nia, she's definitely the weakest of the bunch in my opinion. But that's all the ninja, and honestly just a very solid lineup. But moving on to the final minifigures to talk about today, which is of course Master Wu. He actually has two ones to talk about, so I'm gonna start with the teen version of him that we see at the start of Season 9. I really do like this minifigure. Honestly, this is not one that I was expecting to get, and whilst it is quite simplistic in nature, it just simply works. It takes up the dragon hunter design that we get to see with all of them, and I really do like that. It just kind of feels really cool. It makes sense as well given context that he's growing up. He wouldn't have master robes lying around, so it makes sense he would have to work with what he's got around with him. Of course, the other big thing is the dual-sided heads, one with the happy and one with the angry expression, which looks absolutely fantastic. The final big thing, of course, is also the man bun piece. This is a white and gold variant based off of the one that we got to see for Cole. I really like this headband piece anyways, and it's definitely a very welcomed addition to get a different colour of it. Honestly, again, it just kind of fits when it does come to Wu. I really like the general aesthetic of this minifigure, again, whilst it is still simplistic. But whilst I really do like that version of him, he doesn't even pale in comparison to the Dragon Master version of Wu. This version of him is of course completely in gold because it's his grandfather's armor. This version of him is absolutely amazing looking. I really like everything this version of him has to offer because it truly feels like a minifigure that's worth your time. The gold and the detail and the printing looks amazing. The contrast of white is something we don't really get to see, but this time round just simply works. It really is just a fantastic looking version of Wu. This is definitely the standout, but unfortunately it does come with the fact that it is the most expensive of the bunch by a very large margin. This one is possibly about 3 times as expensive as the second most expensive of this lot, which is actually Lloyd. This version goes on average for about £30, whereas Lloyd is about 10. But honestly, you can see why, because of what the minifigure is. It just looks amazing looking. It looks fantastic in every regard, and I can't help but love it. This is the standout when it does come to this lineup for me. And again, like I said, it does come with the unfortunate consequence. But honestly, I really like this version of him. The addition, like I said, of those new dragon pieces as well, is just so welcomed. I just really don't have any complaints when it does come to the minifigure. And again, like all the other ones, in terms of accessories, whilst they don't have it, this one actually does. The blade and the shield look amazing. But yeah, this is the other version of Wu, and definitely the better of the two, even though they are both fantastic. But this is where it does become difficult to me, because this is where we now actually look at it as an overall and give my recommendation. The thing about these outfits, like I said, is that they are circumstantial and perfect when it does come to Season 9. I love them as a representation of Hunted, and if you do want to represent Hunted in your collection, there is no better way to do it than this. But when it does come to just getting a line of ninja suits, there are a load of different caveats when it does come to these outfits. A big one is the fact that, of course, they are circumstantial outfits. They're damaged, they're torn, they're battered in a lot of different senses. So the thing is that if you just want a clean looking ninja suit as a representation of Ninjago in any collection, these are probably not for you, because just simply put, they're just not really that kind of suit. They're not the suit to represent the ninja. The Season 8 suits are, but not these ones. These are just the perfect reflection when it does come to Season 8. So again, for that reason, you probably shouldn't get them. And also the other reason why you probably shouldn't get them is that if you are trying to be a completionist, this version of Wu, like I said, the Dragon Master Wu, is up there in terms of pricing. If you're not willing to drop £30 to £40 on a minifigure, this is definitely going to be the obstacle in your way. Lloyd is worth about 10, so that's also a little bit up there. The rest are fairly cheap, so those are fine to get. But if you are looking for just a nice cheap collection of minifigures, I don't think these are the ones for you, because that Wu will be the biggest part by a very long margin. But like I said, and I want to reiterate, these suits are still absolutely fantastic, and if you do want to represent Hunted, these are most definitely the ones for you. It's just like I said, there are so many little caveats and so many little things you got to think about if you do want to pick them up, because just the circumstances around them in general are factors. But I do think if it does meet your requirements, these are definitely some standouts for you, and I definitely do recommend them because of it. But those are the Season 9 suits, and that is where I'm going to officially pass it off to you guys. Because I would love to know, what do you think of these suits? Do you like them or do you dislike them? Are you trying to collect them? Have you got all of them? Or are they ones you are going to avoid? I would love to know what you think of them, because I do think they are some interesting ones that do have a lot of caveats behind them, but they are just still fantastic. But like I said, I would love to know what you think. But thank you very much for watching the video, and I do hope you enjoyed. And if you did enjoy, please consider subscribing. I love discussing Ninjago with more people. And if you do want to support the channel any further, which you do not have to, you could always become a channel member and join the legends that you do see on screen. Thank you to each and every single one of you. Your support means the absolute world to me. But like I said, that is about it for today, and take care. Okay,